So, will you raise your kids or will the Obama administration raise your kids? Hi, I'm Shawn Akers, the Vice President for Middle Eastern Affairs with Liberty Counsel, in for Matt Staver today. And joining me in studio is Deryl Edwards, the President of Liberty Counsel Action. Deryl, we had a very good discussion yesterday of the Obama administration's new move to impose what is, as a practical matter, a national public school curriculum for our children. I want to continue that discussion today and talk about what the implications of that are. You know, it's of deep understanding of the left, how important the children are. Now, let's think through this just a minute about the battle plan, because, you know, anytime that there's a competition, you want everything legitimately that can be placed in your favor. This is the reason that skiers wear special suits that decrease wind friction on them. It's the reason that runners wear the lightest shoes possible. It's the reason that we work the way that we do to compete. If you can stack the deck, then you're more likely to win. Now, let me show you a little bit of the liberal logic here, and it's good logic. Think about it. If we can say, one, that education is compulsory because we don't want to have a dumb nation, two, that education is a right that the state has to provide, so we've got compulsory and state provided and state directed, then it's gotten us so far. And then we wind up in a situation where, Deryl, if I'm the state, I have your children for 7 to 9 hours a day, depending on the program, virtually all year long. You have them for a couple of hours at night before bedtime, which, by the way, you're going to be obligated to work with them on the homework that I gave them. You're going to get them for a few hours on Saturday. You're going to get to try to correct everything that I've done in Sunday school for about an hour on Sunday morning, and then you're going to get to do it all over again with me on Monday. So I'm going to have your children for 7 to 9 hours a day for at least 5 days a week, plus homework time that I get to instill my ideas in their head, and I'm going to do it compulsorily and through the state. And then, but really, it's you that's raising your children, right?
Yeah, but what's going to happen, in addition to you, the educator, instilling your ideas, you're going to be deconstructing the ideas that the parents are putting in that 1 hour of Sunday school, or when they're at home at night praying with their kids and teaching them, especially Christian parents, from the Bible. You're going to be ridiculing that, or at least putting it in a light, making it very suspicious to a young mind that is a moldable mind that you are aware of because you've been taught that as you went through your educational training, that these are the age impressionable minds, and we can teach them what's for the betterment of society, and to get rid of these old anachronistic notions of liberty and one nation under God and the other things that we were taught to believe as our children ourselves.
I can't believe that you'd actually say that, Deryl. How in the world? I mean, for instance, don't you have the ability to teach your children about God? Don't you teach your children that on Sunday that God created the heavens and the earth, and that God spoke and light came into existence? Don't you teach them those things? Is there any problem? Is the state telling you that you can't do that?
They're not telling me that, but when they're getting a hold of the kids, they will turn around and tell your children a completely opposite story in many cases.
You know, it's an amazing thing. The fact is that while we supposedly have the freedom to raise our children the way that we want, I get the weekend and a little time in the evenings to tell them that God created the heavens and the earth, but the state is going to tell them and test them on their ability to recount the fact that man came into existence out of life that was not human, and that life came into existence out of
non-life,
out of out of objects that had no biological functions, and that those objects came into being out of nothing in a process called the Big Bang that happened some long time ago that we weren't around to watch. But that's truth. That's truth with a capital T, and you're going to be tested on it, regardless of what your parents say and regardless of what they teach you in Sunday school. And we're going to get to go over this with you for 9 hours 7 to 9 hours a day, and then give your parents the opportunity to give a little bit of input as they help you do your homework. It sounds to me like a stacked deck.
Yeah, and what they want to even stack it further is to throw the power and the weight of the federal government behind it. And as you said, we said yesterday, illegally so. That is not position of the federal government to do this, but that's what they'd rather have, because if we leave it down to the local communities, we give too much power back to those parents who might believe differently than we believe as trained educators.
You know, and here's the thing. It goes even deeper than that. When we talk about something as simplistic as teaching them about the origins of life, or we teach them about math or about whatever, that's one thing. Students don't study that hard anyway. They're really trying to get out of a lot of that. They're children. But what about the fact that we're telling them who to listen to? The fact is that all week long we're giving them the heroes to emulate. We're telling them which scientists are the ones that you look up to, which social leaders are the ones that you look up to, which thinkers and philosophers are the ones that you should really emulate, who are the people that you should admire and model yourself after. That, to me, Deryl, is one of the most important functions of education.
Well, and bringing that up, we see a lot of this historical revisionism within our textbooks, where certain leaders in our own American Revolution are discounted or not brought up. We think of people who, like William Wilberforce, who helped end the slave trade in England. And you know, there was, thank God for movies like Amazing Grace that came out a couple of years back, but we won't find much mention of him in a traditional, you know, public school textbook, or other leaders in America who would be the same way. But we will find, you know, praise for Che Guevara or Mao Tse-Tung and how they were leaders to their people, but they might overlook the fact of those they had murdered in cold blood and those who they had oppressed.
You know, that's an amazing thing to me, that's exactly what has happened, Deryl, is that we've reached out under political motivations, under the guise many times of political correctness and multiculturalism, to pick people like Mao Tse-Tung, to say, children, look and listen, this is someone that you can emulate. These ideas have consequences. If we take it seriously that we're going to raise up the next generation, we need to take it as seriously as the left has. And that means that the subject of education, from that point on, once you get that, whichever side of the argument you fall on, the arguments over public education, over mandatory education, over school vouchers, over homeschooling and what kind of regulations should regulate that, all of these subjects become so much more than just what's the delivery system for mathematics going to be. We're literally talking about who is shaping the next generation of leaders and whose ideas are they relying on to shape those leaders.
And in light of that, it would be good to remind the listeners that if you do have your child in a public school, to become involved as you can be. There may be pushback against you. You may feel you're standing alone. But as God said in the Old Testament, there's 7,000 who have not yet bowed their knee to Baal. There are a lot more like you, and take advantage of what opportunities you have. Your rights are probably greater than you think.
Your rights as parents are greater than you think, and I'll tell you something else, too. This is encouraging. There's not complete lockstep in the public school movement. There are many, many, many thousands of brilliant teachers out there that want desperately to have a positive impact on that system. They're there to help you learn that. Now, in many cases, there's just no replacement for the family. There's no replacement at all for the impact of a mother and a father on the education of a child. But I do want to encourage you, because depending on your locale, depending on where you are, there are teachers out there that love your children, that don't buy in to the political message that even they are subjected to. Now, here's the thing, though. If we're going to do anything that maintains liberty for the children and for the teachers that are teaching them, involvement is going to be required. please visit us at Liberty Counsel. Visit us at lc.org. Call us at 1-800-671-1776 and ask how you can take part. Go and look at our resources on education. When you call and make a donation, ask us about receiving the New England Primer and other documents that we have that can help you in this process. Again, that's 1-800-671-1776.